Hello and welcome back to Big Discussions. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar. I am the owner of this channel and I am the founder of the Big Words blog site. The information from my blog is on the banner for this channel, as is all of my social media contact info. Please like this video, please share it, and also please subscribe to the channel. One of the things I'm going to echo that I've heard some of the other content creators that I watch say is that the likes are free. So liking this video will absolutely help me grow this channel, and it's free. So if you're watching this and something I say resonates with you, please do like it, and please do share it, and please do subscribe. Well, today is July 14th, 2019. We're just about at the halfway of July, and I wanted to make a short video on this, and I want to make this short, so let's see if I can do this in under 20 minutes. The idea for this video was laid on my heart this weekend, or the idea came into my mind this week. I think I just said this weekend, but I meant this week. And so the genesis of it, I'm going to keep that vague because this is based on someone, and it would just probably be wisest for me to keep it vague. But I'm going to start with the first principle of my blog, and the first principle of my blog is creating ecosystems of success, and I talk in detail about what that means back in my very first video on my channel, and so I'm not going to go into detail about what that means other than to say that it's creating environments for others to be successful. So I think that this video will create an environment, at least for someone, to be successful or to achieve their goal at their workplace. One of my blog's one of its key focuses is career discussions. So this video is pretty much for everyone, especially if you go away to a workplace every day. And I think it'll be very valuable if you're just starting your career off in a new workplace. So here we go. So no matter what your career is or what your field is, you go to school for X amount of years and you get a mastery of that field and of your technical expertise. But the question is, once we start our careers, how do we survive and thrive in those careers? And most careers, whether it's law or science or education or some form of government or some form of corporate America, there is a human component to everything. And so it becomes very, very important to understand how to navigate people and how to navigate personalities. And that's not something that's covered formally in school, to my knowledge. It wasn't covered in any of my schooling. And so you're relying on going back to one of my earlier videos, you're relying on your nature and your nurture. So if you grew up going to church, I know there are a lot of anti-church people out there, but I'm just saying that one of the things you probably learned there was a set of values in terms of getting along with people. Depending upon the family you've come from, you've probably got some of that as well. One of the things that my mother and grandmother taught us was the golden rule, which is to treat others how you would like to be treated. So there's no real formal education from K through 12 and even in college about getting along and working on teams with other people. And so if you've never learned anything about that, you've got to pick it up somewhere. So workplaces are ecosystems, and sometimes personality conflicts arise where people feud and they argue and they fight and they get fired. In some instances, things get so bad where there is a concern or a fear of violence between, two or more people. And in some instances, people get terminated and they have to be walked off their place of business or escorted by security. And security is, alerted to never let this person back on the premises. So these things do happen in the private sector or in the public sector. I imagine it probably happens in academia as well, but these things go on. Many of these workplace conflicts, they've usually been building for a while. And things start as a spark, and then they go to a simmer, and then they go to a boil, and then they just boil over completely and explode. But usually things could have been avoided altogether, or things could have been massaged and nurtured so that the conflicts were resolved before they got to a boil. So I'm going to introduce 4 terms now, actually 3, and then I'm going to introduce an important book. So I'm going to mention emotional intelligence, emotional intelligence, emotional quotient, or EQ, and then finally situational awareness. And so emotional intelligence is, as the name implies, it's being smart emotionally. And it's just knowing how to manage your emotions and managing your fear and your anger and just managing your emotions. And I haven't formally looked up EQ at this point, but I imagine that it's similar to emotional intelligence. If you're watching this and you have a solid definition of EQ, please leave it in the comment section below. And then situational awareness, that's a term I actually learned by watching football. And in football, what it means is, coaching staffs and the quarterback have to know that in certain situations and certain times during the game and certain downs and distances, they have to know what plays to run and what not plays to run. So it basically means being aware of your surroundings, and as you'll see, aware who is around you, and acting and course correcting accordingly. So that's situational awareness. I feel like there was a 4th term, but when you don't write things down, things escape you and you forget. So but for right now, just keep in mind those 3: emotional intelligence, emotional quotient, and situational awareness. So now the book I want to introduce, which you've probably seen in the title, is The 48 Laws of Power, written by Dr. Robert Greene. I think he's a doctor. But I want to shout out a friend of mine named Dapo, and I'm not going to say his last name for to protect his anonymity. But this friend turned me on to this book over 10 years ago. We were sitting on the commuter bus up in the Albany area, and we were just talking about stuff. And, he and I were on similar educational levels, and we were talking about our workplaces, and, this just came up. So, and it's been a very valuable contribution to my life. So the book is written by Dr. Robert Greene, and it talks about, well, the 48 laws of power. And it gives, how should I say this in the most concise way? It gives keys to navigating life and navigating people, ultimately to amass power, but again, for the sake of this video, to navigate life and to navigate people. So there are numerous laws in here. There are 48, and he uses examples of people from history, and I think in some instances the Bible as well, to illustrate these laws. In some instances he gives reversals for the laws, and yeah. So I'm going to run through four laws in the book that really resonate with me, and if you find it valuable, you might want to get a copy of the book for yourself. But I'm going to talk about 4 laws that resonate with me. So law number 5 is, so much depends on your reputation guarded with your life. And whenever a new employee comes into my workplace, I always tell them that the longer they're there, they're going to develop a track record. And since I've been in my current workplace, I've seen a lot of people come and go, and from day one, everyone has created a track record of either doing the work well, doing the work not so well, of being unprofessional, of causing conflict in some way, of showing leadership qualities. Everyone creates a track record when you're in a particular place and you're working amongst a certain group of people. So you have to really guard that reputation and create the best reputation that you can. Law number 9. Win through your actions, never through argument. This law really resonates with me, both professionally and personally. But basically, for a lot of people, it's important to win. And it's important to win arguments and discussions and disputes. But the trick is to get through that argument / discussion / dispute so that you can you can find a solution. And oftentimes it becomes so much about winning and being right that you end up in more of a negative situation than you were when you first started. And sometimes, even though you may win on paper and you may win in terms of fact, the other person may still hold it against you. And so it's best to demonstrate your point as opposed to trying to argue someone into seeing what you're seeing or believing what you're believing. It's not very easy to do, and while I think I do a reasonably good job of this at the workplace, it's very difficult with family. My mother, my father, and with other relatives, because you don't expect sometimes to have to. Some things you don't see coming, some discussions you don't see coming, and you expect more from family sometimes. You expect them not to push certain buttons, but that's inevitable. So it's much easier in a professional context, in my opinion, than it is in a personal context. Law number 10, this is a big one, both professionally and personally. Law number 10, infection. Avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. Okay, I'm going to read that one again because this one is powerful. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. So basically, what this law is saying is that there are certain people you want to avoid, and that there are certain people through their own folly and their own actions and their own arrogance, there are people who bring upon their own hardship and their own demise. And oftentimes you cannot talk them out of that. And the only thing you can do is to distance yourself from those people. This has a professional context and it has a personal context. And you want to surround and align yourself with happy and successful people. Dr. Greene is very adamant about making that point in this book, in that people's moods and personalities are like viruses and they can affect you. So you want to surround yourself with joyful and buoyant people, and you want to avoid the unhappy and the unlucky who are, again, bringing on their own demise. A good example of that is Brutus, Cassius, and Julius Caesar. Cassius, I believe, was distrustful of Julius Caesar and was plotting his demise, and he got Brutus to come along with him. Brutus was a good soldier of the Republic, and Brutus got roped in, and they all got executed at the end. So you got to be careful who you align yourself with. And then the last one I'm going to cite, there are 48 in here, is law number 19, which is know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. And this goes back to situational awareness. You have to know who's in the room. You have to know, you have to take a look around and see who's on the fast track to being promoted, who is the sweetheart, who is in the in crowd. And you have to look at what's happening around you and adjust accordingly and behave accordingly and not act like a, as they say, a bull in a china shop, just mauling things and breaking things and ramming through things just because you feel like it. You know, and offending the wrong person and burning the bridge with the wrong person can permanently doom your career or doom your path. My dad actually told me that saying years ago, in the dating context, never burn bridges that you might have to cross again. Well, the same thing goes for the workplace. So always be aware of who is in the room and who is around you, who's watching, who is listening. Because people are constantly forming opinions, and you're constantly building a reputation for yourself. Numerous content creators have mentioned this book. I'm not the first one, but again, something happened, something was called to my attention this week, and I thought it was important to speak on this book. Let's see. I've been at my current position for a while. I won't say how long. And as I stated in an earlier video, you have to have your own reasons for leaving a position, and I've stayed for my own reasons. I'll just say that. And a coworker actually asked me this week how long I'd been there, and she was surprised when I told her the answer because, you know, in today's culture, it's common to, you know, move around from job to job to job, and there are a few people who stay at certain positions for a while. But I told her that I didn't have a reason to leave, and I also told her that personality-wise, again, going back to nature versus nurture, I've always been pretty low maintenance, and I've gotten along with most people, or I get along with most people, and I've been told that I'm very diplomatic. So, there we are. So in any case, I'm gonna conclude here. I highly recommend this book, no matter what your goal is. If you're in business, starting a business, if you're in a workplace and looking to move up, this is an important book, and it's also important for your personal life as well, as I've mentioned a little bit in this video. So I'm going to conclude this video here, and I have some other things to do. My weeks are busy, and I'm actually headed back up to my hometown of Buffalo, New York this week for my 25-year high school reunion, and I might make a video just on that later on this week. it's rolling around in my mind right now. So please like this video. If you think it can help someone, please share it. And please subscribe to the channel. And with that, I will see you next time. And always remember, your attitude determines your altitude. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.